Hey, good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you are, I suppose. Good afternoon. We're back, and yesterday we took care of UV mapping this side table, and you can go to my Twitch channel and see the two videos I've uploaded so far, or streamed, I should say, and a lot more to come. There's so many assets that need to be created for this project, so there's going to be a lot of videos. So a great amount of things to see soon, and so we'll go ahead and get rid of that. So we left off last time. I brought this side table, we modeled it in the first stream, and then we went through and UV mapped it in the second, did some baking in Marmoset, and now we're back in Substance Painter. We're ready to texture. So again, this is what we're going for. This is the Peter Pan film, the Walt Disney film, and we are creating a bunch of the assets to create basically this nursery room. And actually we can go over to Unreal and just take a quick peek at what we got so far. This is what I've modeled so far, mostly just the environment. There's a moon, some clouds, and then the basic structure of the room itself. And if you just zoom out and kind of see that it's pretty simple. It's just this one big piece of geometry encompassing the whole scene. And if we play, we can go through the environment. Got some collisions set, so we won't go through a wall or anything. And yeah, so I put these doors in, I think it was last week, and set up the wallpaper and trim and so on. So it's coming together. But we want to put this table in here, and so we're going to texture it, and then we're going to bring it in to Unreal. And essentially what we're going to do is just keep producing props and bring them in after we finish them, and just set dress the scene. So let's get out of this and go back to Substance, and let's go real quick over here. All right, so looking at the reference. Where is it? Here we go. So it's here. It's all pretty much one solid color. Here it is again. So it's kind of a reddish brown wood. You can't really see the wood grain so much, just because this is a painted stylized look. But we're gonna add in a little bit of grain, since you can do a lot with Substance. So let's get started. And the first thing we're gonna do is, as you probably might remember from the previous stream, is I had baked the normals and different maps in Marmoset, but I just wanted to show that you can do it here as well. And so let's do that. So we're gonna go over to the texture and set settings. I'm gonna hit bake, and I have it already selected. You may have everything selected, but just go ahead and hit none and then choose normal, so we can just hone in on this right now. I've already got this selected, although I think it may not be correctly pointed. So let's try to find that real quick here. So side table, and we need the high mesh Okay. So it's pretty simple. I mean, sometimes you might need to mess around with the distances, but for the most part, the defaults generally work pretty well. So really, and we also have one in there previously. Let me do that again. So when I get double, there we go. So pretty much at the default, it should be fine. You just want to make sure that you have your high selected, and you may need to create a cage for it, but a lot of times you don't. But if you needed to add a cage, you could do it here, and just the same kind of thing. You just select your cage, and then I've already got the suffix naming convention high low, so it knows where to go for that. And so we're just going to hit bake, and it's going to go through and do its magic, and done. So yeah, that's pretty good. So if you look at it now, you've got these nice radii everywhere, and it was a lot more hard edged before, so it's looking pretty good. One thing that we talked about before was perhaps this needs to be a little bit more smooth. I mean, it's kind of faceted. So I might just do that right now and jump back into Maya and just adjust this, just to show you how easily this can be done. And we're just going to open Maya real quick. And let's stop this render. Go to Maya. I think I need to find the scene. So let's have it on the desktop. Oh, you know what? It's actually in the scenes. So let's go here and table. Yeah. All right, so we're opening it up. It's taking a second. There we go. So we've got our high hidden, but let's keep it there for now, and let's just add a couple edge loops and adjust this. And I'm going to show the high. So I grabbed the wrong vertices, so let's undo that. There we go. Make sure nothing else is selected. All right, kind of round it out. Yeah, I think that's good. It's just a little bit nicer. It's still pretty low poly. So yeah, I think we're good. So let's export this out. I'm going to hide the other geo here. Let's hide them. And let's take a look. If you always want, if you want to check, how nice and flowing your radius are, you just go and angle it like this, and you can just see how nice and flowing it is. It's not too bad. I mean, mind you, this is really low poly, but yeah, this is good. So let's export it out. I'm going to do desktop side table. Let's just go over the file we already have. Export that out, and theory that should have worked. So let's take a look. Got a little bit of an error in Maya, so let's get rid of that. Oh, it's just telling me it's not a valid. So let's go back to that. It's not a valid file type, so we're going to go export and stop. Oops. Yeah, it should be fine. It's still giving me that error. So what I'm going to do is just to make sure that we're saving it. I'm just going to go back, save it as number 2, and it's giving me that error. Strange. All right, let's see. Did it actually save? All right, it didn't. So, typical figuring out where your issues are with Maya. You know what? Let's got everything selected properly for. Could also try to use the game exporter and choose the path. And I actually wonder if this is causing the issue right here. I'm actually just gonna save it here because there's a colon, and I didn't notice that before. So let's try this. Make sure it's a single file. Okay, make sure choose the file name. Oh, okay, right. So we'll just call it side table. And okay, let's go back. Yeah, so it works. That's, maybe no, well, it's a colon in other, strange. All right, so let's go back and I'm gonna update this. So go to project configuration and choose side table, hit OK, and should be good at this point. All right, so let's bake again, and here we go. Yeah, better. All right, so a little bit smoother. You can see a little bit nicer. All right, so now let's bake the other maps, and we don't need to bake the normal again. We'll do ambient occlusion, curvature, and position. We don't need to do ID because there's just one material. So let's go ahead and bake those. And let's go to layers and take a look at the reference, kind of bring it. I'm going to just kind of bring it to the side so you folks can see. Let's do that and that. Perfect. Yeah, so let's add a fill, and let's choose a color, kind of reddish color, and we can try to sample, but yeah, for whatever reason it doesn't sample to pure ref, but it does sample when I use just directly from, like, it's just strange. So let's just try to match it visually, and I'm gonna just get rid of the normal, metal, roughness, and height for now. Actually, I'm gonna keep the roughness. I'm gonna bring it down. And then let's focus on the color. I mean, it's not too bad. Just gonna give it a little bit. Maybe something like that, just a tad bit more. Yeah, something like that. Now it may change too, because what I'm gonna do is kind of overlapping materials. So let's look for, we're going to go here and search for a material. We'll just go to wood. Now you could go to Substance Source and check out all their really awesome different materials, which is amazing. But I think this should be fine just to use one of the included materials here. So let's grab this wood here. Hide. And actually, that's not what I wanted, but that is cool. This is the one. Okay, so cherry, and I'm going to rotate the grain because I want the grain, and this is why if you press F3, you'll go directly to the UV map, and you can see all the UVs here. If you press F1, it will split it. F2 is just a 3D view. So, and if you're on a Mac too, you have to hold function and then F1, F2, F3. But the reason why it was really important to get the UVs mapped is because of what I'm going to do right now. I want the wood grain to be going with the beams here. And I've set up so it's going to be on the top going the opposite, like this. And that is just because I've laid out my UVs in Maya. So we're about 90. I'm just going to click in here and go 90 degrees. And I'm just going to maybe go 3 different repetitions. And so it's looking a little bit better. The height information is a little harsh. It just looks too emphasized. So I want it to be kind of subtle. So I'm going to go and first look at the parameters here under the material and look at maybe the height range. And it may be helpful just to turn on this other material, and then what we can do is we ultimately are going to multiply it or add a filter or a blending mode, but I'm just going to turn it down just a tad. And that isn't actually too bad. We're still getting the grain color, so that may actually work. But we want to see the height information as well. So there we go. Let's turn that down. It's not bad. It's actually not bad, just really quickly like that. I mean, you know, it's a little bit, the color in the reference is a little bit more red, but you can just go to your fill layer and add a levels. Or you can actually just even grab the color and adjust it, but you can add a levels as well. Maybe just more saturation. No, it's kind of not. And I may go into the wood grain and adjust that too. Something a little bit darker. Something like that. Looking a little too red. So it's just got to play with these. Yeah, it's just too red. So let's get out of the red. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's not bad. Let's take a look in just a quick render here. Zoom in. Yeah. You know, I think this would work just fine. I mean, we could add dirt and dust buildup, which is always fun, but this room is pretty clean, so it's probably not necessary. Yeah, I think this is going to work just fine. So, and we can always come back and adjust it. So I'm just going to exit this. I'm going to save. And then let's export these out. You can just go up to File, Export, Shift Command E. Also gets you there. And we're going to do Unreal Packed. I've already chosen. So Unreal Packed. It's going to bake out all of these textures. And we don't have an emissive, but it doesn't really matter. Can bake it out anyway. Let's designate a folder and just call it side table textures. All right. So now we're just telling Substance that it's just going to go bake out the side table textures folder. We've got it just at 8-bit ping, and we're good. So let's export out. All right. So let's go back into Unreal, and let's bring in this side table, and we're just gonna go to geometry and simply drag this in. We can create collision on this. We probably should create collision on this as well, but you can also just auto-generate collision for right now. I'll show you how to do both. So we're going to do auto-generate collision, and the rest should be fine. And let's just hit import. And then we're going to Just drag this in. And I mean, if you want, you can go up, if this is kind of what I was talking about before. If you're in the last video where you could have your pivot point at the origin, but if you have your object way over here and your pivot point at the origin, if you zero it out, it will go exactly where you want it. So, you would just zero it out and it would go, the pivot would go to the origin and the object would go over to where it's supposed to be, over here in this case. But because we kept the pivot and the object at the origin, it's going to the origin in Unreal. So something to just kind of note. I'm just pressing F to frame it, and we're gonna just bring it on over. It's similar to Maya. If you press W, you get your manipulator. If you press E, you get your rotate, and R is scale. So we're just going to bring it over, frame it up, and we haven't made the bed yet, but it's going to be on the list of things to do. So let's just do 90. So you can change the rotation amount here. I'm changing it to 90, but you can set the increments to what you want in Unreal. And then you just simply drag it over. There we go. And zoom it in. And that's good. So there's the table. Now the textures. Let's go to materials, textures. We'll just go to our folder, texture folder, and we're just gonna drag them in. So just give it a second. Unreal's gonna do its thing. So here we go. And then I've already created a base material, but let's go to the materials real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in Unreal, you can create a base material, and where is it? Right here. So this is my base material. I've already created this, and it's really simple, where you have your color going into the base color. This is your occlusion, roughness, and metallic maps, and the order is as RGB, and is the same as R is occlusion, G is roughness, and B is metallic. So what that means is occlusion needs to go into ambient occlusion, your roughness needs to go into the roughness, and then your metallic just needs to go into metallic. So you simply just left click and drag those, and then you do the same thing for the normal. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you would just simply take these textures, and actually let's go back here real quick. I'm going to dock this material. There it is. So I'm just left clicking and docking it up here. So if you wanted to bring in a new base material, if you wanted to create a new base material, you would just take the texture and simply come over here, continue to hold it with the left mouse button and drop it. And it automatically connects the texture to that. But we don't want to create another one. And the reason you want to create as few base materials as possible is because materials take up a lot of processing power. So the way you can get around that in Unreal is to save on processing is creating instances. And how we're going to do that is simply just grab already one that's instance. And you could just simply grab the base and just right click and then create material instance up here. And so we'll just name it side table. I'm just going to follow the convention here. Instance. Okay. So there it is. It's an instance. Now, if you double click on this, it's a little bit different. And basically, when you create an instance, the each parameter can you can replace the previous parameter or texture with a new one, and it doesn't take up a lot of processing. So we're going to turn on these and simply drop in. I don't need to save that. So I'm simply going to drop in the texture. So let's go grab the first one is, yeah, let's do the base color. So grab that, left click, drag it over, drop it right there. Next, normal. Okay, drop it, done. And you can see the normal's already working. And you need to remember to, I said this in the last video, but just as a reminder, your normals need to be, they need to be DirectX, not OpenGL, because Unreal works with DirectX. So there we go. So you can see the material is already here. It's looking pretty dang shiny. We could adjust that here, but it's probably easier just to go and adjust it in Substance. And then we just need to take the material and drag it on over there. So there it is. Now we need to bake the lighting again, because every time you adjust the scene, you have to rebake the lighting. So let's just build the lighting real quick here. Actually, I should have just, because it's a little dark, so you can't see super well the table. So I actually think I should put in another light so we can just kind of see a little bit. So let's go to lights, grab a point light, should be fine. And you kind of see how that's working. Let's see. I might even actually just change it to a spotlight. Did I grab a spotlight? Yeah, I did grab one. Okay. So we want to change to static. And right now, it's pretty dim. So let's turn it up right here. And probably let's try 20. And I mean, this is just for look dev right now. I'm not focused on creating all the lights right now for the final scene. It's simply just for developing the look of what we're working on. So let's turn it up here again, and let's say 50 actually. Yeah. Oops. Oh, and so if you hold, sorry, 1 second here. If you hold Alt or Option on a Mac, you can duplicate, and you just drag out. You can create a duplicate of your asset. So So there it is. It's not too bad. It's a little too shiny. I think I'm gonna adjust the shininess. So let's go back to substance and do that. So we're gonna go to roughness and just bump it down. So we're at 3725. Let's just bring it to like, I don't know. Oops, that was 0.6 maybe. I'm gonna bake out again. And hopefully that will suffice. So let's go to the textures. And you should be able just to, I believe, just drag it in and it will replace. Oh, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong. There we go. And you know what? Now that I think of it, oh yeah, okay, here we go. I was gonna say, I didn't know if I got the occlusion mapped correct, but I think we did. Yeah, so a little bit, it's better, much better actually. Maybe a little bit too shiny still, but yeah. I think I might reduce it just a tad. And oops, go to 0.7 maybe. Let's try export. And now there's a live link from that connects Substance Painter to Unreal. And frankly, it worked. It was cool, but then it didn't work. And I just couldn't get the technical things to function properly, no matter what I did, and following different people's suggestions. So this is kind of, you know, a little bit longer way to deal with it, but it's not too bad. So we're just going to Unreal, grab the occlusion. And let's update the lighting again. And then we can test it out. So it's rebuilding the lighting. And now we're just going to go in and actually let's try that. Not really thrilled how this lighting is working for us. Still seems a little dark, but let's move the light a little bit down. Aim it. Look at that. Rebuild. Actually, I'm going to increase it to maybe 60. And see how that works. And so yeah, there it is. You can see all those great details right there. It's just one asset done. and many to go. I almost think that I might want to brighten it up a little bit, the color. But these are fine-tuning kind of things that you can change. Another thing is there's a intense, you can see, let me just exit out of here. You can see the grain is quite intense with the specular. And so one thing that you can do with that is go to substance and overlay another roughness amount. So I think we were at 0.6 before, and you can basically blend them. This looks like it has no specular, but we want to blend it. Try. It probably would be better to do the color and roughness on another, and then try to do that. Let's see here. Oh, I still have that going. All right. So this is roughness, this is color, this is wood grain, and then you can use the blending modes to kind of have those blend through. So there's a lot you can do with them, but that's the gist of putting an asset into texturing and putting an asset into Unreal. This is a pretty simple asset, but it's, you know, one asset that is done. And so I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up for today's live stream, but I may be able to do another perhaps a little bit later, but we'll see. And yeah, I appreciate you folks tuning in, and thank you again. And be sure to catch me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn. There's a lot going on. There's some great art on also my art station, and Instagram has some great things as well if you prefer that medium. So a lot of great ways to connect, and hopefully this has been helpful. And until next time, I wish you a nice day.